You know, I find it bloody inspiring when I chat to someone who absolutely loves what they do. It lifts my spirits, it motivates me to do better in my own business, and all in all, puts me in a very positive frame of mind. My guest today, he does just that.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show, where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You so much more importantly, you're a motivated business owner and you are ready to crank out some great marketing, which is exactly what we do around here for another year. Yeah. First episode for 2016. Who would have thought? Hey, I hope this coming year, it's an absolute belter for you. And to make it that way, I've got a big show for you. Again, I got this fellow, Mr. Positive. Gary Elliott, his name is. He's the owner of Leisure Options, which is a travel business for those with disabilities. And if you think this interview isn't relevant to your business, have I got a surprise for you. I share some feedback from a very happy listener who's seen, wait for it, a 35% increase in his business in just 9 months, thanks to this show. Hey, hashtag action taker. And I've got a motivational marketing quote that reminds us, very importantly, to stop interrupting our precious clients. You with me? You with me on that one? Hope so. More on that later. Hey, today's show lovingly brought to you by the good folks at Net Registry who do get your online marketing sorted. So head over to netregistry.com.au/Timbo and check out their exclusive listener packages, which includes an SEO booster package where they've dropped the setup fee just for you, the listener of this show. And 99 Designs also make this show possible. They're the world's largest graphic design marketplace where you'll find a design you'll love guaranteed within 7 days or your money back. And you can get a free $99 upgrade on your brief over at 99designs.com/Timbo. As per usual, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
Hey, quick check-in, I think. Worthwhile. Start of the year. I try not to make these episodes, this show, too date sensitive, if you haven't noticed. So I'm not going to go on with the big New Year hoo-ha, all that goal-setting stuff, resolutions, but I do wish you a hugely successful 2016. I'm down the beach. I'm working hard. I'm trying to wind down. Got to tell you, I'm finding it hard. Finding it really hard, which I'm actually a bit annoyed about. I just wanted to kind of enter a rubbery state where I just kind of get a bit of swag about me and stroll around as if, you know, everything was just tickety-boo. It's pretty good, but I'm just kind of still in that work frame of mind. One thing I have done, I've reviewed my social media usage. Yeah, I know. About time. I think we all need to. But I won't put that on you. You may love it. If you're a long-time listener of the show, you'll know my views on it. But I'm not convinced social media is enhancing the human condition. I am going to do a show on it. I'm just trying to figure out what that show looks like. Or I should say an episode on it. But I've just stopped using Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, those three main ones on a regular basis. I'm not checking in, as often. I'm not completely out of it, but I'm just enjoying time away from it. That said, I am going to increase my exposure on each episode across all the channels in the coming weeks, working with a wonderful fellow, Joe. more on him in future episodes in regards to how I go about marketing each episode. I'm going to make it kind of world's best practice when it comes to using social media for podcasting. But at a personal level, I'm just taking the foot off the accelerator. More on that in upcoming episodes. And I've been putting together some thoughts on what an episode of the Small Business Big Marketing Show looks like. And I'm working on a few new segments that will make it interesting, more educational, more entertaining. Episodes where I might go out into the street and talk to consumers. Episodes where I might even prank a business owner, hey? Don't know what that means yet, just playing with that idea. Nothing sinister, just a bit of fun. Something to put a smile on the dial. Want to interview weird media sales managers from weird media outlets to get them to kind of convince us that we should maybe use their media. Just little segments, little things to keep the show interesting in this new year. So plenty going on. I hope your business, your approach to your business, your mindset around your business is in a very positive state of mind. If it is, keep listening. If it isn't, keep listening. So, today's guest, Gary Elliott is his name. He is the owner of Leisure Options, which is an award-winning travel company for people with disabilities. Now, what I love about Gary is his modesty. You know, before the interview, he said, and when I approached him for the interview, he said, he just wasn't sure whether he'd be an interesting guest. Boy, was he wrong, hey? And by the way, if you think this topic, a fellow who owns a travel agent targeting people with disabilities, if you think this is not for you, think again. I'm actually a really strong believer that you'll find the best marketing ideas for your business in industries completely unrelated to yours. I think far too often we look with inside the fence of our own industry to see what our competitors are doing from a marketing point of view. But I encourage you to find brands and businesses that are completely unrelated to what it is you do and see what they're doing to get noticed, to get attention, to build that emotional attachment, yeah? This will be a good example, this episode. So listen in as Gary shares his passion, his disbelief that he's created a business that he loves so deeply. We also talk about how he built the business into a world-leading solution for those with disabilities, how to market to that sector, how he's managed to win some prestigious awards, like seriously prestigious awards, and what he does with them from a marketing perspective. And there is plenty more. I started off by asking Gary, what's his superpower?
My superpower? That's a good question, Tim. I'm very good at injuring myself.
Well, that doesn't get you very far.
No.
Are you a bit clumsy?
Let's just say I'm a middle-aged man trying to do too many things, and it's got me in a bit of strife recently.
Mate, welcome to the club. What have you done recently?
I dislocated my kneecap playing AFL 9s with the AFL dads, so it put me out of action for a while and had an arthroscope.
So clearly, Gary, you think you're 24 and not 40-something.
Yes.
Right. Does that show up in your business as well? Do you try to do things in your business that you shouldn't be doing?
No. Look, we do take elements of risks, but certainly nothing that would hopefully compromise the actual business itself. But look, I mean, all business people know that there's elements and risk in small business no matter what you do.
What's the biggest risk you've ever taken in Leisure Options?
I would say purchasing the business was the biggest risk.
Well, tell us about that, because that's quite some time ago. It was an existing business, was it?
It was an existing business, yes. So we purchased it in 2010, February 2010, from the original owner who had operated it since 1994.
And there was risk, but you're telling me that's the biggest risk. Why was it so big?
Look, I was entering an industry that I had no knowledge at all. And whilst I was very confident from a business perspective, I always believed that you could learn the product. But I have to say it was a real challenge. The first 12 months was overwhelmingly challenging for me personally and the family, but we managed to survive.
Mate, that's amazing. So you're telling me leisure options, which great holidays and travel for people with disabilities is your tagline. You have gone and bought a business that specialises in that, and you've got no experience in that?
No.
I love it already.
No, I had absolutely no experience.
What was the appeal of buying the business? You could have gone and bought a news agency.
Correct. Look, the appeal was I was looking for a business that the whole family could be involved with, that it was going to be something that we could immerse ourselves in for the next 10, 20 years. And I wanted something really unique, something that would constantly challenge me. One thing I found in business is I get bored very quickly, and once I'm bored, I have to move on. I have to sell and move on. So I was trying to find something that would constantly be challenging me, and therefore I knew I wouldn't get bored.
So I'm interested. Do you have? What's your connection to disability?
Yeah.
Is it in your family? Was there a passion to help people with disability? It's got to be more than that.
Yes, I know. Look, there is, of course, absolutely. Look, there is a connection there. My sister had worked in the disability field for over 10 years at that time. My partner is a nurse and been a clinical nurse. And, look, we're heavily involved in the community. We love giving back, and we were very passionate about doing something that we were going to be really proud to be associated with. And that was really the driving force, finding something that was a really good, going to give us a really good feel about what we were doing.
Tell me about then. So I think it's fascinating. I actually went into this interview thinking that you had a disabled child or two, and as a result, that's why you started this business. Clearly not. I mean, that to me is a very powerful why. But so tell me about that meeting back in whenever it was. You've talked to your wife and said, "Yeah, I think we're going to start a disability travel business."
Look, it was not just Kathy, my partner. It was my sister as well. So I clearly went in and said, "Look, I really would like to take on this business. I think that could really be passionate about it, but I needed those guys to have the buy-in. So if they weren't keen and weren't going to be part of it, then perhaps I wouldn't have done it, because they had the skills, some of the skills and knowledge that I really needed to required to actually embark on this business. If
the business was offered to you today, would you buy it?
Yes.
You'd do it all again?
I'd do it all again, absolutely.
When you bought it, did you buy what you think you were buying? Did you get what you think you were buying?
Yes, as far in terms of what the business did, absolutely. Obviously, there are other things that you uncover as you...
oh, here we go.
Yeah, to move along the path in the business. But look, in saying that, as you just asked me now, would I buy the business again today? Yes, I would. Perhaps I might have negotiated a bit better, but right. I have no regrets at all.
Fantastic. I love, what a great story so far, mate. I just think it's clearly you want to make a difference in the world, and you saw this as your way of doing it whilst making a profit at the same time, which, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, look, look, you have to make a profit in business, otherwise you don't survive. But look, I think the overwhelming outcome for us where we are today is our family we just love this business. I have my kids come away on the trips over summertime. They've asked for guests to come to our house and have dinner with us. They've done talks at school about it. It's just, I'm a really proud parent with the kids and their passion as well.
Yeah, how old are your kids?
10 and 11.
Wow, and they're involved at that level, getting that's wonderful. Already you've got a succession plan in place. Well done.
They don't know that yet.
So tell me how does leisure options work? Great holidays and travel for people with disabilities. So are you essentially a travel agent for people with disabilities?
Yes, look, Tim, initially, up until July last year, yes, we are a licensed travel agent. In order to do what we did and specialise in what we did, legally you had to be, but that's all been deregulated last year. So we still consider ourselves an agent for people with disabilities in the travel industry. We're now accredited with AFTA, which is Australian Federation for Travel Agents. So essentially, people looking to utilise a travel company, if they want to use someone with a reputable background, that's what I would advise them to do today.
Right.
So yes, essentially that's what we are. We specialise in just supported holidays for people with disabilities. We've never been open to the public, so we don't conduct any other travel work for anyone else other than people with disabilities.
So do you go out and source various holidays?
Look, it's interesting, Tim. Sometimes we will use other parties to put a package together for us, or part of a package. But I would say 95% of our holidays we plan, we produce, we put together the programs, the activities, the itinerary, all the transport. And we provide all the staff. We pretty much do everything. And we're actually an authorised agent for Covermore, so we issue all the travel insurance that's necessary as well.
Okay, so fascinating. You've built a business. Is the business that you've built now very similar to the business that you bought, or have you completely re-engineered it?
It's similar in what we do, but we have certainly turned it upside down and made significant changes to a whole range of things in the business.
What's the biggest example of turning something completely on its head?
We now have, we've got branding, we've got style guide, we've got a mountain of policy and procedures that didn't exist beforehand, and we've tried to create a culture within the business so that when people see our website or a brochure, they can clearly go, "Oh, that's leisure options."
How do you go about creating a culture?
Look, we had a mentor or a mentor that was working with us, and then we engaged that person as a consultant, and we had some focus groups that we gathered together from staff, and just conducted some sessions with her on what they believed to be what we did and how we did it, and then from there how we could identify the key material that created our culture. So what did our culture look like, and how did that integrate?
What's an example though, like on the ground example of leisure options culture in action?
Just the type of people that we have working with us, how we work, also the type of characteristics that those people have and our business has. It was really important that they were aligned.
That's really interesting. Attracting the right people and retaining the right people is a pain point for many small business owners. You, in fact, a previous guest a few weeks ago, Maxine from Brava Woman, she employs people based on personality because she believes that everything else can be taught. Do you sort of share that same philosophy?
100%. Absolutely. I agree there completely and entirely, yes.
It's sort of brave in a sense because then there's a kind of big there's a learning curve. There's like you're employing based on emotion and not necessarily training or qualifications.
That's true. But I think if the person has the right attitude and shares the same beliefs, then teaching them the actual product or service is fairly easy after that, because they're constantly engaged. They're really passionate about wanting to learn and do what you're doing.
What's the attitude and belief that I'm going for? Let's role play it. I'm going for a job. G'day, Gaz. Mate, I wouldn't mind a job at Leisure Options. I'm ready.
We would talk about...
Immediately say no.
No, we would talk about the sorts of things that you've done in the past, what you do today, what are your passion, what are you passionate about, how you integrate with people. So we're trying to identify the skills, the attributes of a person that we've identified as part of our culture, and if we can start to see those coming through in some of your questions and responses, and also some of the information you provided us, then we start to feel. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you can't get it 100% right, Tim.
But as a result of actually that employment philosophy, what's your retention rate like of great people?
Look, the last few years it's been excellent. Normally, when we first started, I would have had to employ 10, 15 people or more for the summer period, just to fill up, because we're very busy over December, January, February. Now I'm down to, 6 people. So we've been able to retain people that have joined us for over the years that we've had. So, look, we're very fortunate that the people that we do have, they tend to stay on for the long term.
Mate, I can hear in your voice a real love for this business.
Yeah, look, I am. I absolutely love what I do. I do wish I could...
Almost a disbelief.
I pinch myself every day that we have a successful business, but to do what we do and to have these associations that we have and to see how many smiles we put on people's faces when they come back from holidays, I'm very, very privileged to do what we do.
Well, let's talk about that. But first, listeners, I'm chatting with Gary Elliott, the founder of the award-winning disability travel business Leisure Options. Before I talk to Gary about his marketing and some pretty significant awards that he's won, here's a word from a sponsor that can lighten your marketing load. Support for this show comes from 99 Designs, where dozens of designers compete to deliver a fast, affordable design you'll love. Speaking of love, their big cheese, Patrick Llewellyn, recently compared 99 Designs to a dating site.
We really think of contests almost like the dating paradigm. You go to a nightclub, it's noisy, there's a lot of people to meet, you get to meet a lot of people, and if you're lucky, at the end of that process you might meet someone, right? And then you go on and have dates. And so a contest is kind of like that paradigm. You put up your proposal, lots of designers submit their ideas, and then you start to whittle down to a few of the ones that really resonate with you. And then ultimately you pick one of them, and once you've picked that one designer, the chances of you going on to work with that designer to get other things designed is actually very high.
99 Designs, where love is in the air. For a free $99 upgrade on your first design, visit 99designs.com/Timbo.
Get on Timbo's mailing list over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Support for this show comes from Net Registry. Recently, I was Skyping it up with Verity Ma, their Chief Marketing Officer, when the line deteriorated. She thought it may be because she had loads of browsers open. At which point I'm like, why so many browsers?
Well, because websites appear differently on different browsers. So if I run multiple, then I can get a sense of how our websites are tracking across different browsers and customers' websites.
Net Registry, where attention to detail rules. Visit netregistry.com.au/Timbo for a website that works on, all browsers. Now, Gary, let's talk about the marketing of Leisure Options, because you've won some significant awards, Hall of Fame, Victorian Tourism, 2013, 14, 15, 2013 winner of Silver Australian Tourism Award, mate, and the list goes on. Clearly marketing has got a component part in it, but what do you put... Well, first of all, well done.
Thank you.
and what do you put those awards down to? They're big awards.
Look, they're big awards, yes. And to be honest, Tim, we've been entering awards for over 5 years now. We initially entered because we wanted to learn more what we didn't know about our business, and we were fortunate to get access to mentors to help us. So that was one component of why we entered, and the second component was about trying to bring awareness to people in the tourism industry that people with disabilities do travel. Yeah. They do have money and they want to get out there. What we were trying to say to the rest of the tourism industry was, you need to look at this market because it's big and it's going to grow, and you need to start to accommodate them.
Interesting. So the two parts of those awards. One, it was your way, and I've heard this a number of times before. Enter awards in order to start to learn. Because awards force you to bring all the information about your business together in one place. And so that was kind of it was almost like a discipline you went through, yeah?
Yeah, it was discipline, all right. Yes.
So that's kind of interesting. Internal objective, let's enter awards so we know more about our business. The second part of that is to raise awareness that disability travel is here and should be embraced by the wider travel industry. Clearly there's a third one sitting there that goes, if we win, it could catapult our business.
Yeah, look, that's obviously the icing on the cake, Tim. The credibility that it brings to our business has been really beneficial.
How have you used them? They're in your email signature. They're on your website. How are you using these awards to market yourself? And does it work?
On our letterheads, obviously that'll start to appear on our letterheads now. I think when people ask, when we get phone calls at work from people that have never used us before, don't know much about us, part of the conversation we have is about where we've come from, what we've been able to achieve, and entering these awards. These awards are voted by people external to our business, so the public, so to speak. And I think that gives people comfort knowing that we're not fly-by-nighters.
Well, Hall of Fame certainly doesn't make you a fly-by-nighter.
No, not now, no.
I didn't know you could get into the Hall of Fame. You're in there 3 times. How do you do that?
No, well, to become Hall of Fame, you have to win your category 3 years in a row.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Gary, you're at the awards. I'm going to take you back now. You're at the awards. You finally get to the pointy end. They're about to announce, and they do announce that you've won and are entering the Hall of Fame. How'd that make you feel?
Just overwhelmingly pleased. I was disbelief because we're up against some really good competition. We were nervous, in particular Kathy, who did the submissions for all our awards. Look, it was just disbelief that we'd become Hall of Famers. It was surreal.
I'm going out on a limb here, Gary, and I don't know you from a bar of soap. We've only met on this interview, but just your interactions with me setting up this interview, you were saying, I hope I can provide you with a good interview, and, your disbelief about winning these awards. I reckon, mate, you might undervalue yourself.
Look, we're very humble people, Tim.
Yeah.
I guess for myself, I don't like the limelight, so to speak. I'm quite a quiet person, and I just like to go about my business in the background. And really the people that probably need the acknowledgement the most are all the people that work with us, and obviously all our travellers who entrust us. And look, it's a very humbling experience, and I guess I probably should perhaps try and embrace it more. But
I don't know. That's really interesting, whether you should or not. I mean, I think every business, it's good to have that front person, whether they choose to put themselves in their marketing or whether they're just the one that does the interviews or takes up the speaking opportunities if they come along. I don't know. It's quite an interesting question, because if you're not comfortable with it, then it's kind of a square peg in a round hole.
I put myself out there. I do things that perhaps I wouldn't normally do, because I know as the leader of the business, that's my role. That's what I have to play. So I do it. I just, as I said to yourself, I hope I can be worthy of the interview.
Man, I'm loving it. I love the story. I really do. And I don't know whether the front person of a business necessarily needs to. It doesn't mean you have to be funny or entertaining. I think you need to be engaging. But I had a guy on recently, Nathan Huppets, who he owns a business called costumes.com.au, one of the biggest e-commerce stores in Australia, particularly for costumes, right? And he is very much the front man of that business, but he's very similar to you. He's very humble, and the reason he puts himself out front is because he's taken it on as a role to educate the rest of the industry around e-commerce. So he's not trying to get more exposure for himself. He's just wanting to educate the industry. So there can be different reasons for doing it,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's a bloody good marketing strategy to put your head above the trench, and because I don't know, you've got an industry that I don't have anything to do with your industry, so I'm going to ask a naive question. Do people know it exists? Or are the majority of people with disabilities going to travel agents, going to Flight Centre?
No, I would say certainly in Victoria, majority of people know that it exists, and there are some minor cases where people have gone to travel agencies and then we've got a phone call later on and say, we did this and it was disastrous. We now want to utilise your services because you look like you specialise in what you do. But I would say, having said that, though, we all, our new travellers each year is consistently been between 23 and 26% for the last 4 years. So we're still getting new people all the time who ring and say, "Oh, I didn't know you guys existed." So that still happens as well.
Okay, so marketing question, how do you target people with disabilities? Because they are just the general population. They're watching the same TV shows, they're visiting the same blogs, maybe they are, they're listening to the same podcasts. How do you identify platforms to promote your business?
Look, we as part of our Vic Tourism entries, marketing obviously forms a fair amount of contribution to that. So we had to sit down and really analyse who our market was and how are we going to target them. And we identified that obviously the obvious market is a person with a disability is our market, but 98% of our people have some form of intellectual disability. So we also had to identify the key decision makers, and we basically broke that down into 3 groups. So carers, disability organisations, and family, friends and associates. So we had to really not only market to the person with a disability, but we also have to target the key decision makers who would be assisting that person in making the decision.
Yeah, right. And then what? What's been the most? There's 3 different sectors there. Let's not go into each of them. But what's been the most effective targeted marketing you've done?
Most effective. Look, for us as a business, word of mouth.
You know what? I was going to add that to the end of the question. And don't say word of mouth. Word of mouth, in a sense, is the result. I reckon word of mouth is the result of great marketing. Or it's actually the result of a great service or product, So you've got that. So therefore, people experience what you offer and tell others. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. You can facilitate word of mouth by saying, "Hey, listen, if you enjoyed it, would you mind telling someone else who's in a similar position?" But I don't know. You tell me. Is that harsh?
No, that's very fair, and that's very true, Tim. That's generally what happens. Whilst it's a big industry, the disability industry is very close knit sort of community. And they all talk and communicate amongst one another. So that's where word of mouth is quite powerful. I guess our other probably most successful marketing is our brochure that we put out. A lot of people have gone to online, but we've understood that our market, our guys really want something tangible in their hand to look at. So we produce a brochure that has lots of pictures, and they're all pictures of all our people travelling with us. They're not glossy travel magazines. It's a brochure designed to engage the person that we are targeting, and so they look through those pictures, and pictures, as you say, can tell 1,000 words. Some tell 1,000 words sometimes, and so that is probably our best tool.
How do you get that? How do you get that into the right hands? That brochure.
Well, look, over the years, we've got a quite a lengthy database now of existing travellers, and you generally find that we also have other disability organisations that we have associations with. So we will often send lots to them, and then they will filter that out through their groups. And it just sort of expands from there. And then interstate, we have a number of groups that we market to and target to interstate. And again, because the community is always engaging with one another, one person will say, "Oh, I've got this brochure. Where'd you get that from?" And that leads to another phone call and another 30, 40 brochures going out. So it just sort of expands like that.
Gary, great story, mate. Great story.
Thank you.
Oh, and thanks for sharing it. Well done on buying a business that you weren't quite sure, you'd had no experience in, and turning into something that you're incredibly proud of. And may your children take it over one day and, push you around.
Well, look, it may well end up being the case, Tim, the way I'm going.
Good on you, mate. Hey, listen, listeners, leisureoptions.com.au is where you can find out more about what Gary and his team do. Have you ever thought of registering? I always spell leisure wrong, Gary. Have you ever thought of registering the LIE version as well?
I might have to look into that.
You do that now before this show goes live, otherwise someone else will.
Rightio.
You on Twitter? Can people hit you up on Twitter if they want to ask you a question?
We don't do Twitter. We do have a Facebook page.
What's that?
Yeah.
Facebook.com/
Leisure Options.
Yeah, I thought so. Clever. Hey, Gary, thanks for sharing, mate, and all the best.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me on, Tim. Really appreciate it.
Well, there you go. Mr. Humility, Mr. Positive, Mr. Optimist. Optimist? I don't know if that's a word. His name was Gary Elliott, and his business, leisureoptions.com.au. You'll find him on Facebook over at Leisure Options as well. So he's not on Twitter, but hit him up on Facebook. Tell him you heard him on the show. I want to share my top 3 learnings, my top 3 insights. Having chatted to Gary, thanks to the very good guys at 99 Designs. Head over there, 99designs.com/Timbo for a free $99 upgrade to your next brief, and netregistry.com.au/Timbo for 3, not 2, 3 exclusive packages to help get your business found online. Now, learning number 1, do the hard yards of pulling together the key components of your marketing, your branding, your style guide, policy and procedures, culture, website. Put aside the time. There's some sort of, not irrational, intangible stuff there as well as the tangible, like style guide. But think about the culture of your business and how you want people to perceive your business, as much as thinking about what's your website going to look like or your Facebook page. Put the time aside, team. It's a consistent theme amongst successful business owners who respect marketing. Learning number 2, enter awards. Spoken about this before, and we're talking about industry awards, marketing, customer service, website awards, and so on. They're a great way to force you to pull together all the information about your business into one place. I've had 3 or 4 Shark Tank, people who have appeared on Shark Tank on this show in the last 12 months, and every single one of them remarked how wonderful it was that appearing on that show forced them to pull together all the micro and macro information about their business. All the numbers, the strategy, the goals, the directions, everything. Get it down. It's a good habit. Awards will force you to do that, and you might win. Learning number 3, produce a hard copy brochure that if someone picked it up would give them a crystal clear idea of what you do and why they need you. I'm working on my one for 2016 right now. 4-step structure, if you want to follow it. Identify the problem you solve, overview your solution, detail your offers or your offer, package them up if you can, and provide an obvious next step and strong call to action. All right? What were your biggest takeaways from my chat with Gary Elliott of Leisure Options? Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, put episode 291 in the search box and leave a comment in, you guessed it, the show notes. Craig Davis of Brand Karma once said, "We need to stop interrupting what people are interested in and be what people are interested in." I do love that quote. We do need to be interesting and not interrupting. So important. And all this helpful marketing stuff that I talk about, guess what? It's going to make you interesting. It's going to get people's attention and they're going to fall in love with you and your business. If that penny hasn't dropped, please go back to past episodes. I talk about it a lot, and so do my guests, and it works. Now, listener feedback. Love this. This is from Charles. Max for You is his business. He says, hey, Timbo, I'm a small business owner who is 70 plus. Oh, he hasn't said his age. If that's 79 or 70 and a half. Doesn't matter. He's young. And he's been in business for 15 years. Love that. Never too late to start your own business team. He says, I'm still learning tips from Timbo, and his referral to 99 Designs helped me create a great new logo. I strongly recommend a good listen to any of the episodes that might influence your business. Yes, I agree. And thanks for using 99 Designs, by the way, Charles. The people interviewed almost always have something new to say, which makes you think about how you're doing business. Yeah, that's the idea. Excuse me. Even if you are listening to an interview from someone outside of your industry, as I said earlier, you're going to find ideas there. Timbo is also very good at keeping his interviewees focused. Also not very good at keeping himself focused. I added that bit. Using some of the ideas from Tim's discussion and interviews, we've been able to increase sales, wait for it, insert drum roll, by more than 35% over the past 9 months. That's brilliant, Charles. With virtually no spend on advertising. That tells me that previously Charles was allocating money to advertising. Whew, it's a bottomless pit. Keep up the good work, Timbo. Charles from Max for You. That's MACS -4, the number 4 -U. Good on you, Charles. Hey, listeners, leave a review on iTunes and I'll read it out. Ask a marketing question within that review. Leave your website and I'll give you a bit of free exposure. Where is the downside in that? Okay, I reckon that's a wrap. What do you reckon? Have you learnt? Have you got some new ideas to take forward into your business? I hope so. Don't feel overwhelmed. Get that journal going. Start capturing those ideas. Revisit it once a week. Implement one. That's all you got to do. Not that hard. Plenty of marketing gold coming your way this year. If I can peel Griffo off the hammock, we will do a funny business episode sooner rather than later. Plus, I've got some great guests coming up for you. Hey, if you need any marketing touch points redesigned or designed, grab your free $99 design upgrade over at 99designs.com/Timbo. It's a guaranteed logo or design you'll love. Not just logo, anything really. And Net Registry. Get a website. They do great websites. They got this $79 a month package. It's called a Do It For Me website package over at netregistry.com.au/Timbo. It's a $10 discount on the normal package. Hey, big round of applause for Daryl Misson for putting this show together. Without him, I'd sound pretty ordinary. Yeah, thanks, Daz. And, of course, Lockie Doley. Thanks for his organ. Well, not just his organ, but everything he does with his organ to pull this show's music bed together. Thanks, Lock. Hey, if you want to surround yourself with motivated business owners like you, join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. $69 a month, 30-day, no questions asked, guarantee. No downside there, team. Hey, if you need a speaker for an upcoming event, I'm all yours. Tim Reid. Is that my website? timreid.com.au. Had a blank then. They say the most accidents happen closest to home. We're nearly at the end. Until next week, I'm Timbo Reid. Thank you for listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.